Unseen Talents Manitoba with your host, Tommy Cross.
Hello, we are back with Mr. Mason, not the basement today, the poet man. So, how are we doing today, Mr. Mason?
I'm doing pretty good today. I'm sitting my day off, so I was able to get a little bit of a sleep in before I came down to the studio today. So
Nice. Always fun when you can do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Always fun. So we're discussing off camera our favorite open mic place, Caravan, a little bit, and how there's only 3 left outdoors at the Cube. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm right on that?
I think
3?
something like that.
Yeah. It's sad to see the Cube closing down for the season, but at the same time, exciting to find out where we're heading in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
Winter homes are always a good place, so yeah. You brought us in some poetry with you today.
I did, yes.
That's awesome. So
I'm just taking a moment to actually settle myself here and get myself together for what I need to.
We'll just jump into some of these standardized questions here that are pretty straightforward answerable.
Oh, of course.
Like the
I'll
how
stop
long
shuffling paper noise.
like the how long have you been writing your poetry for? That's a tantalizing question.
For sure. So, believe it or not, of all of my creative endeavors, the first foray that I ever had was into poetry. I started writing when I was about 12 or 13. A lot of that poetry will never see the light of day because it's a lot of very sensitive content for me. Even some of it is even actually kind of triggering because of the memories it brings back of things that I dealt with while I was writing it. But I used the writing as a form of an outlet to be able to help me deal with the situation that I was living with. And yeah, I was bullied quite badly as a young person. So.
Oh man, it's one of those very unfortunate stories, right? Like a lot of us went through a bit of that stuff. Some way worse than others. It's an unfortunate thing, and it really does highlight the fact that there is not enough out there for guys, even young boys, who are told, it's kids being kids. It's we're just be a boy. We're boys.
Oh, it wasn't even that with me. It was my parents were on my side that this shouldn't be happening, but it was the other elements of the authorities that were not as willing to help out in the situation.
Yeah.
That's more so what the point was in my case. So.
Oh, that's super saddening.
Yeah, so for the first couple of years that I wrote, I never really shared any of my writing or anything like that. It was more so just for my personal writing and such.
So that leads me to the next question. When did you first start doing slams and stuff?
Well, believe it or not, before I ever started doing any kind of slam poetry or anything like that, I went to an open mic for one of the first times. It was the open mic that I believe I may have mentioned in the first episode that I was on here with.
Okay. Yeah.
With Talents Manitoba was the open mic at the Regal Beagle pub downtown.
And that was again still Caravan, right?
No, this was pre-Caravan.
Pre-Caravan.
This was the time before Caravan. So Caravan's been around for a little over 10 years now. But I started doing open mics in 2008.
Wow.
So this predates those days. But it also helped me with meeting the people that I needed to as the contacts that I would need eventually within the spoken word community and open mic community, including people like Talents Manitoba and Paul Little, some of the other organizers of the Caravan Open Mic and Open Stage. And Caravan definitely helped me develop a lot more as a writer, in addition to working with the slams, to kind of bring my writing style out a bit more.
Nice. So you got a couple of poems, or you got a poetry guide with you, and
yeah. So the poetry guide is actually I'm going to be reading from a couple of sources. One of which is a chapbook that I released for a live performance that I did while I was in Brandon.
Right on.
And then Poetry Guide is actually for a workshop that I developed for using writing as a creative outlet to help with dealing with issues with mental health and such.
That's awesome.
It's called Working Through It, and I'm planning on actually doing a video version of it to basically put up online so that people can use it as like a facilitation tool if they wanted to for schools and such.
Nice. That's actually really awesome. That's super awesome. And you had me queue up your a lover's quarrel. Chad Cawson.
Yes.
Is he you're the writer of
So
this, right?
I'm the writer and Chad Cawson is the director. So there was a competition a couple of years ago called F Words or Film Words, where there was done through the Winnipeg Film Group, coordinated by my good friend Ben. And he was the person who kind of spearheaded this and got me involved because of my connections with the poetry community. So this was the second year that I entered. This was the film that was submitted. So I'm the original writer, and when they did the final showcase of the films and decided who the winners were in the judging and all of this, what they did was they had the videos projected at the back of Park Theatre.
Okay.
And then on the stage at the Park Theatre, and then the poets were doing their pieces live in front of the silent video or music video.
That's cool. That's cool.
So you actually got to see the final project performed live by the poet.
That's dope right there. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
This is the piece that Chad and I entered together, and
Nice. Yeah, we'll have a look at that. Towards the end, we'll probably use that as our outro piece.
Sounds good, because it does have a little bit of jazzy fling music at the end too.
Beautiful,
so
I love it.
Nice
I love it. Can't wait to hear it. And yeah, once again, that's Chad Cawson on YouTube. I'll post that link up there because everybody deserves their credit due.
Of course, yes.
As well as I will make sure everybody has the links again for Mr. Mason here. You'll find all his enjoyable music and even his projects out there, such as Weapons of Mass Distortion.
Yeah. And I believe I do have some chapbooks also on Amazon through the Kindle Marketplace as well. So if I can find the links for those, I'll get you those as well.
Right on. And those will be in there if they're there. All right, so I guess before we do this, we'll a new little portion here we call Game Time.
Flip this over so I'm
in
not distracted
this
by anything on the page.
In this beautiful little space we call Unseen Talents Manitoba. We give you a choice here. You can either go a would you rather question, or we do some word association.
You know what? Would you rather could go all sorts of ways. Let's go with word association.
All right, let's run that bad boy. All right, here. First up, we have run.
River.
Nice. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Kitty.
Pride. Always a Marvel favorite of mine.
Always, right?
Mm-hmm.
Planes.
Trains and automobiles.
Yeah, man.
Classic film. I've always been a movie buff, and that one's always been one of my favorites.
And such good Canadian acting in that one too, right?
Indeed.
And Wall.
Crusher.
Yeah, man.
In spirit of everyone's favorite corporate logo, the Kool-Aid Man.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, smash through the walls.
Please don't censor my video for that. Band.
Logo.
Very
Sometimes
nice.
the bands are known more for their logo than they are for their actual name.
Right? Some of them are, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, jeez, it's wild. Sometimes you'll have kids wearing logos and they don't even know what the band is for. Like Van Halen's logo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that was super iconic. Like kids were wearing that everywhere and nobody even knew what the hell it was.
Yeah.
Let's go Bang.
Bow Boom.
Wow, boom. Yeah.
Good old ICP.
Yeah, man. Strong.
Man.
Strong man. I am big strong man.
Well, I mean, I'm
My
also,
terrible, horrible Russian accent.
for me, I'm half Icelandic, so for me, I've got the blood ties to, well, distant blood ties, but blood ties to people like Magnus and Magnus and things like that.
Oh yeah,
so.
man. That's awesome. It's awesome. All right, guys. With that game time conclusion, we'll be back after a short break here with some poetry from Mr. Mason. All right. And we are officially back now. All right, Mr. Mason, I will hand this over to you as you know how we do. You give us some titles of your poems and we'll do as we do. Discuss away, my friend. It's all you.
Yeah, so the great part about this not being something like a slam performance is I can do a little bit of a preamble for the pieces about a little bit of the backstory and things like that. So one of my favorite styles of poetry that I've really developed better with over the years, thanks to the slam poetry community, is the haiku, which is a 575 setup. So what this is actually 7 sequential haiku that I wrote, and the third haiku, the third stanza, is the first one that I wrote, because I was thinking about one of my favorite horror themes and how I could associate that with a series of haiku. And so when I was writing the third stanza, I was kind of thinking about headlines that you might see in one of those situations. So here we go. Down a darkened road, driving along not knowing. The end was now there. The streets were quiet, and the parking lots were bare, but signs everywhere. Strange bites, fits of rage, the hospitals are filling, the dead rise from graves. So find a weapon to help keep yourself alive. Shotgun, axe, sword, knife. Beware the bites first that kill all your friends, because they know it's the end. They feed, and feed, unable to stop the need, they wander the streets. So aim real high, try to hit the head. Otherwise, you might end up dead.
Very nice. Very nice. So what was the title on that one?
The title on that one is actually I just have listed as Zombie Haiku.
Zombie Haiku. All right.
Yes. It's it was just a fun little exercise, and in the workshop I use it as a way to help stimulate the idea of audience participation or group like participant action, where they basically would write a series of sequential haiku, 2 or 3 haiku in a row,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
then present that for the group itself.
That's dope. That's dope. It's a good idea. It is.
Yeah, the workshop is definitely catered to working with both audience participation as well as the facilitator presentation.
Nice. Nice.
Because it shows you how easy it can be for some. Like, it's definitely not easy for some people. Some people find writing poetry extremely difficult. But for other people, if they get the kind of stimulation and the kind of guiding that they need, then that makes a bit of a difference with that. So.
Oh, it definitely would, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And what do you got next for us here?
Up next for us actually kind of ties in with your word association game.
Nice. Nice.
A lot of the writing that I did over the years was when I was actually working at a call center, when I had some downtime, things like that. Sometimes I would get bored and I would send a message to 3 or 4 different coworkers and be like, hey, give me an idea or a theme for a poem and I'll write you something. And this one actually came from a coworker of mine named Amanda. And she basically said her idea was the driving home and seeing the fields being burned by the farmers. at the end of the season after driving home from their grandmother's place in the country going back to the city. And for me, I can also visualize that as well, because a lot of the times when we were traveling back up to Thompson from southern Manitoba,
Yeah.
after coming to the city or going to Gimli to visit my grandparents or something like that, we would often drive through the burnings as well,
Yeah.
depending on what time of the year we were heading back up. And so for me, I was able to kind of incorporate those two kind of thoughts into this poem.
Okay.
Yeah, so this piece is called Shadows of Horses.
All right.
It's nearly dark out in the country as the visit with grandmother comes to an end and we head to the car. As I prepare for the journey home, I see the skies have darkened with more than just the dusk of the evening. I can smell the wind. It carries the acrid smoke as it reaches my nose. It's another sign of the coming winter as the autumn sun sets deep into a horizon full of ochre and sepia. However, tendrils of darkness are flooding into the smoothness of the horizon as the smoke oozed in like spilled ink. As we start the drive home, heading back to the city down the darkening highway, I turn and look out the window. I see the sky bled even faster of its beautiful sunset as the bases of the smoke pillars come into view. It's that time right after the harvest when the fields were burnt in order for the ashes to revitalize the topsoil for the next season, assuming the spring floods didn't wash out all the nutrients. But for now, there was only burning. I could see the fires now. I rolled down the window despite protests from the front seat. I wanted to hear what else I heard, or what else I saw. What I looked forward to on these trips out of the perimeter highway. The horses, but with the brightness of the blazing inferno behind them. All I could see were the shadows, but I could hear them. I could hear the uneasiness in their whinnies. I could feel the rhythm within their fear and respect they held for the fires and the way they bucked and stomped their hooves. I roll the window back up, tired of the smoke that's burnt its way into my nostrils. When I get home, when sleep is priority after the long drive back, the inner city sky nowhere near as dark as just a few miles outside its populated core. As I turn the light off, my mind drifts off to the sounds the horses they made, as they dance before the bouquets of fire, shadowy horses running in fiery fields.
Ooh, very dark.
And that last line was actually the original idea that Amanda sent me in response. The subject was shadowy horses running in fiery fields.
That is...
And I asked for a little bit of a subtext behind it and subcontext, and then that was what kind of melded between the two stories of me remembering driving home up to Thompson through that, and then...
That's awesome. Some good stuff. Oh, man. Alright.
Half stuck to your table. There you go.
Yeah, I know. It's the joy of having the studio going while we're still doing little bits of touch-ups here and there.
That's how it goes, though. It's all good.
It is what it is. It is an independent show after all.
It is.
We ain't unionized around here.
So, I have another one for you.
Alright.
So, this is actually a favorite of quite a few people. This was inspired actually by a lover's quarrel. In the same idea of how one thing can be not what it seems.
Sounds interesting.
So, I'm going to put up a warning for anybody who might be listening to this, who might be sensitive to certain content matter. This does have a bit of innuendos in it.
Alright, so I will definitely make sure there's a warning.
So make sure there's a
upfront
mild content
on
warning
today's
on this
episode.
one here,
Definitely, yep.
Figured I will give you the fair warning as well, so you
Beautiful.
can make sure to put that in the
Beautiful.
edit there. So
If anything needs to be censored, it gets too vulgar, I know how to do that. It's all good.
yeah. So again, it's more so the suggestion of it.
All right.
But again, the final product is going to make people laugh. So
I love it.
I will leave it up to the listener's discretion. That's
Sounds like a good plan.
yes.
What's this titled?
So this poem is called Stroke It. I see you watching me, standing there as I talk quietly. You can't help but see it moving as I speak. You long to touch it. You want to feel it. You want to stroke it. Don't be afraid. Come on over. Take it in your hands. Feel it between your fingertips. There's no shame. It's stronger than you think. It's my badge of honor, my pride, and my heritage. When it gets nice and long, it becomes the center of attention. It draws everyone in, both men and women. Men tend to get jealous, but some of the men, like the women who adore it, want nothing more than to stroke it. It comes with age, a truly seductive idea meant only for those who understand why things grow in a certain way. When I need to think deep to it, my fingers will creep. I stroke it slowly, then quickly, as the gears of my mind grind on repeatedly. Why shout it out loud? Why display a love for your desire? Because of all your jealous, dirty pleasure, your draw, every stroke just takes me higher. Tired of men who show as much intelligence as they display? Don't be afraid to say, I'm a sapiosexual paganophile. Don't have what I need. Just stay away. So the next time you see me walk past, baby, you don't need to ask. Just reach out for my beard, give it a tug, or stroke it.
I fucking love that. Oh my word. I love it. I absolutely love it. Oh,
So this
my
will give you a
goodness.
little tidbit, a little bit of a hint toward what
Man.
Lover's Quarrel might be about, because I was looking over and looking at your responses and just being like, dude, how much of this am I gonna need to censor? Like, am I gonna, like, where's this going? Like,
man,
how is this
I
gonna,
love
like,
that.
where is this going? And that's the response that I
Oh.
love getting from the audience as well.
I was actually curious where it was going, and then I started thinking, wait, it happens as you get older.
And then you probably looked over and
yeah.
saw my chin wagging.
Yeah, I'm like,
and the
wait a
beard
minute,
wiggling.
I got one of them too. That is awesome. Good one. Good one. I love that one. That's a good one. All right.
So for me, I have a mantra when I write, which basically has led me through writing a lot of really successful, good stage poems with examples like this. You can't make them laugh, make them think. You can't make them think, make them cry. You can't make them cry, make them laugh.
That is awesome. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So I do believe the director has turned his back to us, so that means we're running short on time.
Gotcha there, so.
So we will jump into a Lover's Quarrel here.
Perfect.
So give us a little bit of background here before I hit the play on this guy.
Alright. So, this one actually was another piece that was inspired by a conversation with a friend. And the conversation was about a situation that comes up from time to time where, we sometimes like to indulge in things, and sometimes we get a little too much,
Yeah.
and sometimes we regret it. And we were walking out, and one day, it was a sunny afternoon, there was a group of us walking along, and I was having this conversation with my buddy Kyle, and he was like, hey, Mike, what would be really funny would be to write a poem about that. But have it be about something else completely different, and just confuse the heck out of the listener until the end when they find out what the poem's actually about.
That's awesome.
And so, this ended up becoming the poem that was written.
All right.
And the best response that I ever got was from my mother when she first read this poem. She asked me, so who's the girl?
Oh, right on. I absolutely love this. This is going to be amazing. All right, guys. So
And
this will be our...
Also, Tommy,
Yep.
as my gift for you to have me back on the show for this,
A gift.
this is your copy of the Siren Song chapbook. So it features this poem, A Lover's that features Laurel,
I love it. So,
the Stroke It poem, as well as a few of my other kind of favorites. It's like the greatest hits poetry collection up to a certain point of the poems that I've written. So
I love that. Thank you very much, my friend.
of course.
I absolutely
Thank you again
enjoyed
for
it.
having me.
It's a pleasure having you back. We'll definitely be back again. Yet again, you're gonna land up becoming a recurring theme. I'm thinking because you know you're just a good conversation. So it's always good fun. And yeah. Let's lend us out here on A Lover's Quarrel. Chad Cawson again is the director.
Yeah, and that's CHADD.
All right.
Just to clarify for anybody who might be looking it up, of course, Tommy will toss up a link for it at the end.
Oh, I definitely
comments.
will.
But yes.
I definitely will. And yeah, it's written by Mason. And we are going to leave you with this piece as we exit out. Have a good one, guys.
A Lover's Quarrel. Oh, you tempt me, and you tease me. Sitting there like the dish you are, I saw you from afar when I first walked into that little cafe. You were on display by the cases at the front. You seemed so prominent amongst your peers, almost regal. You showed confidence that you had layers, and you were no chump's cookie. Now I managed to keep my hands to myself that first time, but when I came back the next day like a bad penny one can't seem to lose, you sat and watched as I chatted away with the girl working the register that day. Now I did see you as I walked by, but turned my eyes away to enjoy as much on another day. Now the next day I was rushed, and I didn't have time, but then for once my boss put her forked tail away and said, would it be such a shame to take off early for a change? Before another word she could say, I was off and gone the other way. I knew what needed to happen. I knew that today would be the day. Today, you would be mine. I went back to that little cafe. I found you waiting for me there. I knew you'd be there. I knew you'd wait. I invited you over to the table with me, but our time together was too brief. Not enough to satisfy. My mouth watered as I craved you again. I invited you over a second time, but this time when it ended, calamity happened. I felt my stomach start to boil, begin to toil. I went away, and at the table you stayed, but when I returned, you had gone away. I think this may be for the best, though. You defeated me that day. You're so light and dreamy, and yet so tasteful with your rich beauty, and the combination of all is just too much for this man to take. Damn you. Damn you, Black Forest Cake.